today I will give you an overview of Strato in terms of technology, so be ready. The technical overview is in this set of slides around architecture and technology. So it's important that everyone in the company is equipped with minimal understanding of the architecture of Strato, so the way things are done. I will not go too much into details. So first thing first, you have to remember that Strato contains multiple modules. Okay, so it's not very important to know them all, but just for your information, Strato platform is really the code base on which Strato sits. It does all the single sign-on, the user administration, all the data access. So every time that Strato connects to SuccessFactors or SAP, it is done by the platform, and all those data, we call it reporting engine. So getting all the data from the different data sources is called reporting engine. So once you get the data, of course, you want to format them as an email or a document. So that's where Strato Documents comes in play. So Strato Documents is built on top of Strato Platform and generates all the documents from there. Next to that, we have our Strato Signature. So Strato Signature is a tool that is still a minimum viable product or plant and leverage the workflow engine. So it's not a tool as a tool we can sell independently, but we can sell that as an add-on, and it allows really the customer to be able to route documents through different parties and get signature and acceptance, and basically it's our Strato workflow engine. Next to that, we have Strato Storage, which is our document content management solution. I will not cover a lot of Strato Storage in this video. There will be a few videos about Strato Storage after. And lastly, Strato Reporting, which is a planned tool, so nothing that we can sell now. And it's actually just a UI for the moment of our reporting engine. So, and the reporting engine, as a reminder, is what we built in Strato Platform. So let's get physical now. About the architecture. So physically, our servers are hosted by Amazon and are hosted on currently 4 regions. So we are in the US, in Oregon, in Europe, Germany, Frankfurt, in Asia, in Singapore, and in Australia and New Zealand, we are in Sydney. The graph here contains all the components of Strato. What is important to understand is that everything that Strato does, so all the communication goes through firewalls, and we do have a lot of services around those firewalls that are also detecting possible hackers and attacks from robots. And I think I will not go more into details on that slide. This slide is actually related to the connectivity. So again, I will not go in details, but what is important to know is that Strato can connect through to SuccessFactors, SAP, Employee Central or Employee Central Payroll, and Google Sheets. Okay, so you have these 3 kind of connection to get data. There is another one which is CSV, but the uploading a CSV is done through Strato, so there is no protocol. But in terms of connecting to live data, we support SuccessFactors, SAP, and Google Sheets. The green arrows are our recommendation or recommended approach. So when Strato connects to SuccessFactors, our recommended approach is that we link Strato directly to SuccessFactors through HTTPS. Okay. The reason why it is our recommendation is because it's faster. So because we don't go through a middleware, we can get the data directly, and if there is an error getting data, for example, an authorization error or server error from SuccessFactors, Strato can detect it because Strato gets the information directly from SuccessFactors. When it comes to Employee Central Payroll, our recommended approach is to go to SAP Cloud Platform Integration. So the way it will work is Strato will connect to SAP Cloud Platform Integration. SAP Cloud Platform Integration will connect to SAP through Easy Reporter, get the data back to SAP Cloud Platform Integration, and then give it back to Strato. So this takes time. But it is our recommended approach because it's actually probably safer for a customer to keep their payroll system behind firewalls and not allow access to third parties. Of course, Strato can connect directly to an SAP system if the customer decides to open the firewall, or at least open the firewall for the IP address of Strato. So that can be done. Well, personally, that's my favorite approach, but I don't expect any customer to allow that. However, we have some customers asking us if it's possible to connect Strato to SuccessFactors through SAP CPI. Yes, it is possible, but this will create potential issues. Number one, because the user experience will be difficult, because Strato will be slower. So every time that Strato calls SuccessFactors, and we do a lot of calls, it will take a lot more time. Number two, if there is an error in SuccessFactors, so for example, a user doesn't have authorization for something, well, Strato will not know because the error will be caught in SAP CPI, so we'll have to create a meeting with the customer to really, ask them to get a basis team there, an end user who can reproduce the error, and the team of SpinFX to monitor what's happening. So it will bring some extra work for everyone. So this is really not our recommended approach. So again, follow the green arrows. Lastly, we can connect through Google Sheet, through HTTPS. We don't have many customers using that, only 2 at the moment. Lastly, actually I should have started with that. Authentication, Strato can authenticate directly, automatically with a customer SuccessFactors system. We have other means of authentication, but this is the one that most of our customers will use. So again, the 2 slides here are actually explaining everything I said. So number 1 for SuccessFactors, our recommended approach is direct connection. For connection to SAP Payroll, we believe it's probably best for our customer to use SAP Cloud Platform Integration. Now in terms of workflow, so Strato can get data from, Strato can be called by external system to start some processes. So for example, you terminate an employee, or you give an offer to someone, SuccessFactors will actually call Strato. So in the past, Strato was calling SuccessFactors, but now with our workflow engine, SuccessFactors or an external system can call Strato. So again, I will not go too much into the details, but what is important to know is that when those servers, so either intelligence services from SuccessFactors or an external system call Strato, it goes into a queue. Okay, this queue is managed by Amazon, and the Strato will process that queue few jobs per few jobs. The advantage of working with a queue is that if a customer sends 2,000 job offers at the same time, the server of Strato will be protected, and we know that all the jobs will be in the queue. Okay. Next to that, Strato can actually call external data. So we have a few customers now that are actually using Strato workflow to populate data in ticketing system, for example. So we have one with Microsoft Dynamics, and we just recently did it with Jira. So Strato can call external system to either put data or retrieve data. This is done through REST API, HTTPS. And Strato can also send email. So there are two ways to send an email. Either by default, Strato can send email. We use our own SMTP server. So you will see that the email will be sent from stratohcm.com. But customer can also decide to use their own SMTP server. If they decide so, this will impact your implementation. So keep that in mind. Okay, so this was probably the most technical slide. So I'll go a bit lighter now. So just for your information, Strato supports all major modern browsers. So, but we are testing mainly on two browsers, so Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge. The other browsers that are considered major are Safari, Firefox, and Opera, and are of course supported by SpinFX. An important note is that Microsoft is not supporting Internet Explorer as from August 17, 2021. This will be the same for SpinFX. We will stop supporting Internet Explorer as from that date. Very often customers are asking, or mostly IT team are asking, what are the languages we are using in Strato? Very quickly, we are using Java. We are for the front end, we are using the JavaScript language with HTML, of course, and we are using SAP UI5 as a library. So as you can see, Strato looks similar to what SuccessFactors looks like, or SAP Fiori looks like. Not identically, but we use the same library. So everything that is supported by those libraries are supported by SpinFX. Our editing tool is called CK Editor. It's a tool that we are paying for. So every month we are paying for the licensing of CK Editor for us to be able to edit templates in Strato. Okay, so that's all about really everything that is technical in Strato. Now I will cover the software development lifecycle. So we have a very comprehensive software development lifecycle, and we've refined it to improve our quality. So that's why we call it improved development lifecycle. So what is important to know is that the creation of a ticket, of a change in the tool, is really triggered by either a CCB ticket or an issue identified in Zendesk. So if this is really the start of us applying some changes into Strato. And then of course, after we build, we test, we deploy, and we release to all our landscape. For tracking purpose, we are using Jira software to manage the release, and we do have a lot of peer review process. I will probably cover that in one of the next slides. So what is important to know, the way cloud solutions are developed are actually by using code repository. So we are using Bitbucket, and within Bitbucket we decided to go for Gitflow. So Gitflow is a methodology of working where you develop your codes. Everything that is on production is under the master branch. Once you start building a new feature, you will have another branch where your code is, where you will develop new things, right? So when you develop new thing, we create what we call the branch per feature, so per enhancement, so per Jira tickets that we have one branch, and the developers are working on it. When the developers are happy with their code, and it has been peer reviewed, by first automatically, so I'll go back on that later, but also by a senior developer. That's the time it is merged back into the develop branch. So this allows us to really work on different developments at the same time and avoid developer, working on or interacting with the code of each other. Okay. Once the release is finished, we actually put it in a release branch, and when we are happy with the release, we move the release to production. An important note is that this allows us also to create hotfix. So when we create a hotfix, the developer corrects the bug, and once the bug has been corrected, automatically it is moved to the master branch and the development branch. Okay, so that's a bit the secret about the way we work in Strato. Okay, so we have two deployment methodologies depending on whether we are deploying a release or a patch fix or a fix. So first, once the code is merged, so when we move it to develop and after to master, we actually deploy it on our development server. So the development server is where the product manager and myself are testing the solution and testing the new feature of the developer. Once we are happy with that and we passed all the internal controls we have, we actually move the code to a test server where the testing team is actually testing our application. So we have two types of test server. The first one is the main test server where our testers are really testing the release, and they have their entry criteria and exit criteria. And we do have a second test server where we test the upgrade. So what we do is we copy a customer system, and then we test the upgrade, do a few tests on that server too to see if everything works well. And if yes, then that's the time we decide to move to the preview landscape. So customers usually get with Strato two servers or two tenants. The first one is on our preview system, which is kind of a UAT server where the customers can see the changes that are coming and that will be deployed to production. It gives them a chance to test it. Usually, if we don't get a no-go from a customer, after a period of time, we would move the code to the production landscape. Okay. In terms of patches and fixes, it works more or less the same, except that when we do a code, the code is merged, we move it to a regression server, so it's almost identical to the test server. Our testing team is doing all the testing and regression testing. For some of the patches, we are copying on a regression server also, another one, to test the upload, the upgrade. And then when we passed all the quality checkpoints, it goes to, again, the preview landscape and then the production landscape. A way for us to improve the quality of Strato is by trying to avoid most of the human errors, manual errors. So we actually are now using a continuous deployment. So what does that allow us to do is every time we want to deploy Strato on a server, whether it's a test server or dev server or production server, it's done automatically. So we have automated for the moment the deployment, the fact that it will run all the database scripts for when we do an upgrade, because when we do change things in the database, we need to run database scripts. So this is automated by the deployment process. Strato will also, the Bitbucket pipeline will also execute all the automated test script, so I'll go back on the automated test script later. And also, of course, clear the server cache, so we don't need to ask every user of Strato to clear their cache. So we actually have many more automation done in those in the continuous deployment, but I think it's important that, well, I cover these 4 points. Those are the most important. The last one is the check of quality that is automated through Sonar Cloud. I will go back to that one later. So in terms of us improving quality, what we are also doing now in Java is we are using JUnit. So JUnit is a way for a developer to, when he is coding his code, he will also code all the unit tests around that code. Why do we do that is, for example, if another developer goes into the code in the future and change something because he needs a change in the way Strato is handling something, Strato will self-run all these JUnit tests and check if the result is the same as before. Okay, so this allows us to catch bugs before they're even sent to another developers. We started this with Strato Workflow, and we are doing it on Strato Storage now, and we are currently redoing JUnit for the Strato document and platform. So, in terms of quality gates, we are using an external solution called Sonar Cloud. So Sonar Cloud is an online service tool that allows us to catch bugs, bad coding practices, and security vulnerabilities. So once a developer develops something and says, oh, I'm happy with my code, before it goes to peer review to another senior developer, the code will be checked by Sonar Cloud. So Sonar Cloud is actually our first peer review, and is actually a very good guardian of checking our coding practices and checking for security hotspots. Yeah. So what we do also to increase the quality, of course, is we keep on reviewing the manual testing we are doing. So we are testing bugs and enhancement on both test and regression. So the testing team is doing that. We execute all the API path test case, and now also via automation for every patch and every release that we do. And we implemented entry and exit criteria. So our quality manager will not allow us to deploy a fix or a release to a customer system if we don't get an explicit go. Okay, so Strato is actually growing quite a lot. So we do have a lot of things to test and a lot of different scenarios. So we are automating now. We started to automate our testing. So really the automation of a testing is asking a tester who is also a developer to create some testing scripts that are automated. So for this, we are using Catalan Studio, and we have a server called Catalan Runtime Engine that is used to test all the continuously testing Strato in terms of all the test scripts we've coded. This part is integrated with our continuous deployment. So every time we deploy to a server, automatically Strato will launch all these automated tests. So we can make sure that everything remains stable for our customers. Okay, in terms of the way Strato support works, it's very similar to the way it works for our payroll suite. The customer raises a ticket through Zendesk. It goes through tier 1 and tier 2 to provide functional support. If the team investigates and cannot find a solution or detect a bug, they create a Jira case then the Jira case is taken by the tier 3 team that will either raise a CR if the request of the customer is really a change request, or fix the issue, and of course everything will be peer reviewed and tested before we deploy. Once it's done, an automated message is sent to the tier 1 team to inform the customer that the change has been implemented. Okay, so in terms of release schedule and fixes, we actually have three kinds of deployment that we do. The first one is hotfix. It's actually when Strato blocks the operation of a customer, really, and there is no workaround. So that's the time we will do a hotfix. So when the ticket is tagged as critical. Okay, so we'll always try to find a workaround or a fix that will be deployed within 8 hours. That's our internal commitments, but our SLA, standard SLAs for customers are larger than that. In terms of patch, all tickets that are raised and are marked as high priority will be part of a monthly patch. So Strato will deliver a monthly patch, and usually the maximum time that a ticket will wait in high priority is 6 weeks. Yeah, we have a development cutover every 15th of the month on what's the ticket will be included in a patch. And if an issue is raised as a medium ticket, it's like, it's not really an issue, but it's more nice to have, but it's still annoying, So all these tickets will be part of the regular release cycle. Okay. So in terms of schedule, in the past we had monthly releases. We stopped that because it was impossible to continue to maintain some good quality with monthly releases. But it was great to kickstart a new tool, because every month you could see something different, and we were very flexible in what functionality would be delivered the month after. So in 2022, because of a big project we had, we could only release 2 releases, but those 2 releases were very, very full of new enhancements, and one of them was our workflow engine. So in 2021, we are planning 3 releases, and one of them will be mainly Strato Storage. And onwards, we will see, but we want to reduce the number of release just to be sure that we maintain a good level of quality in the solution. Okay. So now I will go about availability and performance of Strato. So it's important to know that we are monitoring Strato 24/5 in SpinFX with actual people, but we have servers or robots that are monitoring Strato 24/7. So all those robots are installed on what we call Zabbix. So it's an external, it's a system that allows us to detect anomalies in Strato, and all these anomalies are built in Zabbix. So all those detections are built there, which means that if ever we see that a server has been down at some point and it was not raised by Zabbix, well, we can create that automation to raise it in the future. So Zabbix will keeps on trying to detect issues on our servers, and together with Amazon CloudWatch, so we have 2 kind of systems for that. Whenever there is an outage or the server starts to act slowly, we have an escalation process done through PagerDuty. So PagerDuty is a solution that will call us on our mobiles. So it will first try to call the people who are on call or working during the normal time. And if within 5 minutes the person cannot be reached, it will be escalated to the next level. Okay, of course, we also have notification through email, text messages. Next to that, what we've built also in Strato is the auto-scaling. So which means that when Strato detects that it is getting too slow for proper user experience, Strato will automatically create a new server and distribute the load across the two servers. Okay, so we really do that for the customer to have better performance. So during peak usage, let's say a customer of us wants to generate 30,000 letters, and a lot of people are connecting at the same time. Strato will auto-scale up, so create a new server or two new servers, process all the workload, and then once the workload is finished or reduced, Strato will start down scaling. So this is something that is automated. So in terms of security now of Strato, it's actually an important point for most of our customers. They want to trust us with their information. So we have a lot of process around security. So the first one is during the development. So our development process ensure that every time a developer try to add some code, the code is checked against the vulnerabilities, hotspots, and libraries that we are using that are tagged as potentially dangerous. So all of these are raised to us before it's even shared with a senior developer. Okay. Of course, that process also includes checking for bugs, code smells, or bad coding practices, and the coverage of unit testing. So Strato will not our process doesn't allow a developer to submit his code before it has been covered by unit testing. On a yearly basis, we actually are continually being monitored for vulnerabilities through different use of software. So we have software that we are using in our development lifecycle that are trying to detect vulnerabilities. However, what we do also is on a yearly basis, we get an external and independent company to perform an unbiased penetration test. So we usually do that around July and August. And just for your information, in July 2020, the penetration test returned only low risk vulnerability. So, and when I mean no risk, it's very unlikely to happen. And if ever it happens, there is no danger or there is no security issue that is possible. Okay, so even if we had low risk vulnerabilities, we address them within days, and the result can be requested by our customers, of course. So we have the result of the audit on the intranet. In terms of landscape, it was part of the first part of the video, but really all our communication protocols are using secured 250-bit encrypted connection and certificates. So it allows us to really guarantee that the information is encrypted on the internet. We do have firewalls that are protecting Strato and our APIs against common exploitation like DDoS attack, SQL injection, cross-site scripting. So all of these are detected by our firewall. We have packet filtering also to make sure that we are not attacked. And just to keep the level of service of Strato very high. What we can also do when we go to a customer who are a bit concerned about security, we can also tell them that Strato has a static IP address, which means that if they have a firewall, they can open it and say, okay, I will allow the traffic between Strato and my system using that specific IP address. In terms of internal access, so you know, accessing our Amazon server are done only through our IT department. And to be able to access all those servers, we always use two-step authentication. So we need to have a secure key to access our server. So it's would not say impossible, but it would be very, very hard for someone to hack our server internally. Of course, our developers and support team have access to the application logs through secure and monitor tools. So the developers can connect to Strato and check the logs, but everything they do are recorded in our logs. So the database is also behind a firewall, so we need VPNs to access it. So it's internally the solution is quite secured also. And that's actually it for my overview of the technicalities around Strato. So I hope you enjoyed and you spent a good almost 40 minutes with me. Thank you.